Everyone, it's Charlene from Soul Sensibility, and I haven't made a soaping video in a while, so I thought I'd come on here and show you how I make my Avena soap. Now this soap is unscented, and it has colloidal oatmeal, which I don't know if you could see there. Here's my colloidal oatmeal, and oatmeal water. So here's my actual oats soaking in some water. Okay, so I just wanted to come on here and show you how I blend my colloidal oatmeal. I blend it into the oils, and there's no lye in here. This is just the oils for the soap. I try to soak this at room temperature to not disturb the properties of the oil. I melted it a tiny bit over a double boiler, but not enough that it was really heated. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to incorporate my colloidal oatmeal. So it might be a little loud, but so be forewarned, turn down your volume if you don't like the sound of the stick blender. So I'm just going to stir out the bubbles and let that settle a bit. But as you can see, I mean, it incorporates the colloidal oatmeal pretty well. There's no lumps, bumps, which is what I want. I want to make a really smooth oatmeal bar soap. Okay, so once I incorporate the lye, I will be back. Okay, time to incorporate my lye. So I'm just going to pour it here slowly. And I know I'm using glass. This is the first time I'm using this container. I know it's not really good to use glass because glass can break and all of that. I'm just incorporating my lye really slowly. Straining out any ice or anything because it was in the freezer. Let me strain that, and I'm just going to stir in my lye before I blend it up here. Let me get all the sides. Stir that in really well. Now, because there's no fragrance or anything, this should be slow to trace, or shouldn't seize up or on me or anything like that. Let me just incorporate that without stick blending. So just slowly mix that. I like to not really do a figure eight, but like a swirly motion. I find that that kind of incorporates it better for whatever reason. So let me get that in the sides. Any room temperature oils there. Okay. So before I start to blend that up, I am going to add my oat water. Whoop. That doesn't work. Let me take out the spoon. I'm going to get all the water out the oats. So I'm just going to press, 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 I don't know why that is sticking. Oh, look at that. Gummy, gummy, gummy. Get as much out as possible. Gummy. Incorporate all of that oat water. Ooh, this is thick. So I just wanted to say I started to incorporate sodium lactate into all my batches, but I have extremely sensitive skin, and I am allergic like you wouldn't believe, to everything. Food, I have a lot of food allergies, environmental allergies, seasonal allergies, just everything. And I find that when I use the sodium lactate, even at the lowest concentration, it still aggravates my skin. What it does is make my skin really dry. I'm very prone to eczema, and I was using other people's soaps that I was buying because I love soap, and every time I'd buy a soap, it would make my skin really dry and white. And I was wondering, like, what is that? And what happened was, when I started using the sodium lactate, it was actually my dad that said, oh, because he has the same kind of skin. He's like, oh, this soap made my skin really dry, because normally he uses my soaps and he's fine. And I hadn't used the sodium lactate batch that I made yet. And then when I used it, I was like, oh, the only different ingredient was the sodium lactate. And then I started to compare. And yeah, I really can't use sodium lactate, even though I love it. I love the way it makes my soaps look silky. The hardness, I find that I have the same hardness the longer my soap cures anyways. But I really do love how it makes the soap feel and look silky. But unfortunately, I won't be able to use any sodium lactate except for my shampoo bars. I like them in my shampoo bars. That doesn't aggravate my scalp or anything, doesn't aggravate my skin. But sodium lactate for me aggravates my extremely sensitive skin. So you can see we have a really good trace here. This soap, because I'm not adding anything to it, doesn't need to be poured at a thin trace or anything. I just want to make sure it's all incorporated well. I'm getting some air bubbles there. Waste not, want not. Gotta scrape off every last bit of this. Let me get what I can off there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna give this a good stir down just to get out any of the air bubbles that I incorporated. I tend to mix really hard, kind of like how I drive. I drive very I'm a hard driver. So I have to mix out my air bubbles. I don't know, this stick blender tends to blend really well. It does incorporate a lot of air bubbles even when I bang it. I didn't bang it today because, I don't know, I just didn't bang out any air bubbles, but normally I bang out the air bubbles. Okay, so this is looking really, really nice and creamy. Really, 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 really good. Let's hope you can still see me because I'm moving the bowl here. Okay, so I'm just going to mix this out. Don't think you want to really see me do that. And then I'm going to be back when I'm pouring it in the mold. Okay. Okay, so I'm ready to pour this in the mold. Now, because this is such a plain batch of soap, like nothing in it, I am going to use this mold here that kind of has ridges at the bottom, and I think I'm going to put some oatmeal on the top. So I'm just going to spoon, see if I can spoon that in. Just because if I pour it, you won't be able to kind of see. Oh, that's going to take way too long for me. I have no patience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it. So excuse me pouring this in front of you, in front of the camera, but it's going to take way too long. Just bang this out. Gonna move my oats out of the way. And sorry you can't see that, but ooh, it pours really nice. Love the pour. Very ribbony and silky. That's what I want. Whoop. Bang that out. Okay. I actually think I can get some more in there. This down if I can. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to, but that's fine. Okay, so I have some left over, which is good because then I can make these little guest size or samples depending on how much is in here. So let's see what we got. Clean the bowl, clean the bowl. This reminds me of when my mom, when I was little, my mom used to make a cake and we'd clean the bowl. Okay, so I guess that's all I'm going to get out of there. Not a lot, good enough for samples. So if anybody wants to try some. Okay. Let's see what we're going to do with this top here. So Oh, air bubbles. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna try and smooth out the top here if I can. Probably not, make it worse, but that's okay. Yeah, I think I'll just do that. And I'm gonna put on the top here some oats, just so that people know what's in it, that it is an oatmeal soap. Kind of looks like oatmeal milk and honey, even though there's no honey in it. The color reminds me of like a honey color. And we don't want too much, just in case people are sensitive, like me, to the oats. My last bar, my oatmeal and aloe, the oats didn't really wash off. Like, it took a while. The oats on the top didn't really come off after you use the bar. So yeah, so I don't want to put too much oats. Plus they drag when you're cutting it. I'm going to have to cut this on the side. I found they just drag right through and create a line. That should be fine.